my name is Gillette,
Hi, my name is Brisa.
and the Pantheon topic that we got was the Egyptian gods and goddesses. These gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt played a very big role in people's everyday lives, the most important being
Thoth is the god of knowledge and wisdom. He would often settle disputes between the good and the evil. He was acknowledged as the author of science, philosophy, and magic. He was also the moon god for keeping track of time whenever the sun wasn't there. He was also recognized as one who created the 365-day calendar. Ma is known as the mother goddess. She is represented as the vulture of the hieroglyph. Interestingly, she is integrated with other deities, and she was often portrayed as a cat, cow, a cobra, and sometimes even a lioness. Anubis, the divine embalmer, and he was a psychopomp, or a deity who assists in the afterlife. He was the offspring to Ra and Nephis. He was known for mummifying the dead, and he led their souls towards the afterlife. And Ra, the god of sun and radiance. Ra is believed to have created this world, and many ancient Egyptian gods were merged with Ra, and many were created by him, such as Isis, Ptah, and many more. And Hathor was known as the goddess of motherhood. Sometimes she was called the mistress of the West. She would welcome the dead into the next life. She exemplified motherhood and feminine love. She was believed to provide a blessing for women during their pregnancy and childbirth. And of course, with that, she was affectionate, humble, and kind to both the dead and living. She was also known as the Lady of Heaven, Earth, and the Underworld.
So Osiris was a god who was king of the living but was worshipped as the god of the afterlife, as the ancient Egyptians believed there was life after death. He married his own sister Iris and was murdered by his brother Seth. He was also known as a god of vegetation, which indicated renewal and growth, and was thought to be responsible for the fertile flooding and vegetation around the banks of the Nile. Isis was a goddess, sister and wife to Osiris. Isis is the most important goddess of life and magic, and she'd cure the sick and bring the deceased to life. And as mother to Horus, she was a role model for all women. Horus was known as the god of vengeance and the child of Osiris and Isis. He avenged his father's death and ruled Egypt. He's also considered the child of Zeb and Nut, and was worshipped as the god of sky, water, protection, and light. Geb was a god known as god of earth and described as the father of snakes. Geb represented crops and healing. Geb was the son of Shu, god of air, and Tefnut, goddess of moisture. The ancient Egyptians believed that he retained the souls of the wicked and caused earthquakes whenever he laughed. Set was known as the god of war, causing chaos and storms. His brother is Osiris and uncle to Horus. His name is translated to destroyer, associated with disorder and the color red.
The Egyptian myth of creation. So it began with Osiris. He was the oldest son to the earth goddess and the sky god. He became king of Egypt and married his sister Isis. He was a good king and commanded all respect to those in earth and the netherworld. Set, Osiris' brother, of course was very jealous of him because he did not command the respect of those in earth or in the netherworld. One day, Set became very angry and transformed into a vicious monster and killed his brother and cut him up into little pieces. He distributed those pieces throughout all Egypt. And then, of course, he became the rightful king of Egypt. His wife was his other sister, Nephis. So because Isis lost his husband, she decided to find him and bring him back to life with the help of Nephis, her sister. Once Osiris is resurrected, she then became pregnant. Osiris descended into the underworld where he there became Lord. The child they had was Horus, the hot god. After time passed, he became adult, and of course he thought he was the rightful king of Egypt, not Set. After Horus and Set argued, Set decided to challenge him to see who would be the rightful king of Egypt. And of course, being the person Set was, he played dirty, and after he won by cheating, Isis decided to help out her son and set out a trap for Set. When Set finally got caught, He begged for his life, and of course Isis made the choice to let him free. With that, Horus became angered at his mother, and so then Set was decided to choose another challenge. Set decided they should race with boats made out of stone. Of course, Horus was tricky, and he built a boat made out of wood and then covered it with limestone plaster, which looked like stone. On the other hand, Set cut off the top of a mountain and used as this boat. He then placed his boat on the water, and of course, with it being made out of actual stone, it sunk right away. And the gods laughed at him, and that angered Set. And because of his anger, he transformed into a hippo and attacked Horus on his boat. They both fought, but before Horus could kill Set, the other gods stopped them. Because of this incident, the gods that were judges decided to write a letter to Osiris, who was in the underworld, to see who would be the rightful king. Of course, Osiris said his son should be, because he did not kill anyone. Then they all agreed and decided that Horus was to be the rightful king of Egypt. And that pretty much concludes the Egyptian myth of creations. The archetypes in this myth was the warrior, which was represented by Horus. So often the warrior archetype is represented by someone who is of physical strength, and they will stand up for what they believe in and for the rights of others. And so, as you may remember in the myth, Horus believed he should be the rightful king because he was the son of Osiris, and he in fact did not kill another god. So therefore he thought he should be the rightful king. And Set, being the jealous brother of Osiris, he wasn't going to let Horus be the king so easily. So of course they had their fights and their challenges, and in the end Horus ended up being the king of Egypt.
And while reading this myth, I believe that Set very much portrayed the archetype of the destroyer, because the archetype, the destroyer, is described to always change, to let go of their anger or whatever force drives them and return to balance and finding the life drive that will sustain them. An example of this was when Set transformed himself into a vicious monster to attack and kill Osiris because he was jealous of Osiris and he wanted to become the king of Egypt. So to conclude this video, in ancient Egypt, gods and goddesses were the depiction of all fundamental necessities required for sustaining life. Many cults developed and many associations were made because of the interconnection between these requirements. And really put simply, anything that made life possible was represented by an Egyptian god or goddess.
We hope you
enjoyed watching
our
video.